Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Nashville. My name is Danielle Garrett. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm serving as your student minister this year. It is so nice to be with all of you virtually today, and thank you for your patience this morning as we navigated the continuous tech challenges that the pandemic brings us. I feel continuous gratitude that we have the technology and talented staff and volunteers necessary to ensure we can continue worshiping together as safely as possible through all the various phases of this pandemic. Whoever you are and whatever road has led you here this morning, know that you are welcome here. We are so glad you've come to worship with us. As Unitarian Universalists, we do not share a common creed, but covenant together to affirm our interdependence and recognize the inherent worth and dignity of everyone. We are a welcoming congregation and deepen our relationships as we serve our congregation's mission to create community, nurture spiritual growth, and act on our values in the broader world as we work for social and environmental justice. I'd like to extend a special welcome to anyone this morning who is visiting for the first time. If you are seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you might find it here. If you're joining us live on Zoom this morning and feel comfortable, we'd love for you to say hello in the chat so we can welcome you. You can find helpful resources and more information about our congregation by visiting our website at firstunash.org. You can also feel free to reach out to me directly via email at studentmin, M-I-N, at thefun.org for more information about the congregation. And I invite everyone to visit firstunash.org for more information and announcements, including children's religious education times for the month of February, and information about our upcoming Habitat for Humanity fundraiser on February 12th, where you can buy tickets online. Welcome, we are so glad you're here this morning.
Good morning. My name is Tom Steinman. My pronouns are he and him. I'm a glad and thankful member of this church, and I am today's song leader. So we invite you to rise in body and or spirit and sing one of the happiest songs in the hymnal for sure. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Open your ears to the song. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
On Sunday mornings, we bring our whole selves, our many names for the divine, and our diverse spiritual paths, and join together in worship. Through joyful music, quiet prayer, and thoughtful words, we seek to honor that which we hold most sacred. I invite us to settle in to this sacred time and space with these words from Barbara Cheatham. It is a good morning to be together. When winter's darkness spreads across the land and cold seeps through our thickest coats, we hurry here, drawn by the warmth of faces familiar and new, to the welcoming walls of this virtual house. Here, for this hour, we open ourselves to new understanding, reassurance, and hope. For this is a place where truth, love, and challenge meet. It is a good morning to be together.
We light our chalice this morning with these words from Kate McPhee. Around us, light is returning. It rekindles the spirit of life in the skeletons of trees. It brings forth new shoots from the soil. It wakes us from our winter slumber and invites us to see what lies beyond. We light this chalice in the spirit of our Earth's awakening and to reaffirm our commitment to the value of our home.
Good morning. I am Marguerite Mills, your Director of Lifespan Religious Education. My pronouns are she and her. And what I have for you today is a common, everyday wisdom tale handed down through the ages. Whoever told it first is anonymous. During the Middle Ages, a traveler once came upon a place in France where a great deal of building work was going on. It was around this time of year, so it was cold. Things would freeze up at night, often leaving ice that took several hours after sunrise to start melting. There were trunks and branches of trees and bushes, but no leaves or flowers or fruit. The walls of a great building were slowly going up, and the traveler, he saw stone cutters laboring over the boulders that made those walls. The traveler began talking with some of those workers and asking about their work. He approached the first worker and asked, "What are you doing?" Well, the worker, very disgruntled and obviously unhappy with such hard work, replied, "I am cutting these huge boulders with the simplest of tools and putting them together in the way I've been told to do. My hands are so cold that I can barely use my tools and my back is hurting. What's more, I am totally bored and I wish I didn't have to do this meaningless work." Well, the traveler, he moved on quickly to speak with a second worker. And he asked the same question, "What are you doing?" Well, the worker replied, "Well, I have a family at home, so I come here every day and I work these boulders into regular shapes as I'm told to do. It gets repetitive sometimes, and I wish there was some pretty scenery to look at. But it helps to feed my family, and that's all I want." Somewhat encouraged, the traveler went on to a third worker. "And what are you doing?" he asked. The third worker responded with warm and shining eyes, looking up to the heavens, beyond the trees and bushes that he knew would one day be full and green again, beyond the walls he was helping to build. And he raised his arms. "I am building a cathedral." And so ends our story.
You may know that we share every Sunday's collection with an organization whose work outside our walls aligns with our values. Our Share the Plate partner for the month of January is the Healing Arts Project, which provides artistic opportunities for persons in mental health and addiction recovery to promote healing, community awareness, and inclusion. You can find the link to our online donation form in the chat or by visiting firstuunash.org. The offering is a sacrament of the Free Church. It is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who join with us. As always, your gifts, like your presence among us, are received with gratitude.
Life can be like a singer's song, a simple song a singer loves to sing. We can rise soaring high or cry out feeling low, singing all our love as a singer's song. Love a singer's song. Love can be like a peaceful rain, a quiet rain as children fall asleep. We can rise soaring high and sing a lullaby, praying all our love as a singer's song. In a peaceful rain, life can be like a singer's song, a simple song to sing our whole life long. Love can be like a peaceful rain, a quiet rain to close our eyes and pray. Life can be like a singer's song. We can sing a song of love as a singer's song, as a singer's song, as a singer's song, as a singer's song. Life can be on a sacred path, a traveled way through woods to waterfalls. We can rise soaring high and answer troubled calls, giving all our love as a singer's song. On a sacred path, life can be like a singer's song, a simple song to sing our whole life long. Love can be on a sacred path, a traveled way to turn to light at last. Life can be like a singer's song. We can sing a song of peace as a singer's song, as a singer's song, as a singer's song, as a singer's song. Life can be like a singer's song. We can sing our song of life as a singer's song, as a singer's song, as a singer's song, as a singer's song. Life can be a singer's song.
We come to the sacred space together as whole people living through complicated times. I know that many of you come today carrying in your hearts joys and concerns, excitements and fears, and we hold all of those with you this morning. During these pandemic days where we are constantly shifting worship formats to respond to public health needs, we have not yet found a good way to share those joys and concerns with the whole congregation. But know that you can still share your joys and concerns with your lay ministry team by clicking on the link in the chat and filling out the form. Your lay ministers, as always, are ready to serve as companions through the joys and sorrows of life. Now, I invite you to make yourself comfortable and join me in a moment of prayer or meditation as we contemplate these words from Tamara Lieback. Holy One, we gather this day to be reminded of the sacred in the ordinary, the holy moments of waking yet again to a new day, the feel of the earth beneath our feet, the crisp cool on our skin, the joy of being welcomed by our fellow travelers, the warmth of this place. Help us this day to be fully present in our living, awake to each breath. Remind us, O God, that life is taking place in the in-between as well as in our lofty goals. Remind us, O God, that the detours and the details craft the path and make it our own. Help us to remember that we did not make this day, but that we have the glorious pleasure to greet each moment as it unfolds, to reach out and kiss its cheek as though it were a visitor who has come a long way just to see us. These and the prayers of our hearts we now lift up into this silence. Amen.
So our next hymn this morning is a cha-cha. We came to rehearse with Holling and we said, is this a cha-cha? And he said, yep, this is definitely a cha-cha. So we once again invite you to rise in body and or spirit and sing along and dance along with a family member or a pet. This is called Let It Be a Dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with the wind,
Let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance.
I don't know about you, but for me, Christmas feels like it was a very long time ago. That weird, listless week between Christmas and New Year, the one where I never know what day it is and feel like I subsist entirely on cheese and cookies, that week alone feels like an eternity. And then after that, January stretches on, long and cold and gray. That ordinary miracle of the manger is a distant memory. But in the Christian liturgical calendar, the joy and good news of Christmas are only beginning to be revealed. See, the folks rejoicing on that first Christmas day were a small contingent, a frightened and still uncertain group without the means or influence to do a lot of gospel preaching. Mary and Joseph, the animals, and a few lowly shepherds. Right now, we are in the season of Epiphany. History, tradition, and some creative interpretation of the gospel stories tell us that it wasn't until 12 days after Jesus' birth that the Magi found their way to the manger. And, having been warned in a dream about King Herod's murderous plans, they were forced to find another, possibly longer, and more circuitous route to travel home. And only then could they share what they had witnessed. So it took a little while for the good news of Christmas to get out in the world. And this is what is honored during the season of Epiphany. This time during which it was revealed to the wider world that something seemingly ordinary, the birth of a new child, was in fact extraordinary and holy. Some traditions celebrate Epiphany as only a day rather than a full liturgical season. In these traditions, Epiphany is observed on January 6th, and the time that follows is referred to, somewhat ironically, as ordinary time. But whatever you call it, the gospel stories and themes of this time between Christmas and Lent remain much the same. The stories are not about apocalypse or resurrection. They tend to be more domestic, smaller in scale and scope, but rich in meaning. They are stories of everyday miracles, Jesus turning water into wine at a wedding celebration. They are stories about the ways the sacred is revealed in the ordinary. There really is no such thing as ordinary time, they tell us. Or maybe every moment is so steeped with the sacred, the miraculous, that miracles become ordinary to our tired eyes, and we need help seeing them anew. In a recent blog post, theologian and writer Diana Butler Bass proposes that the clean, crisp air and bare trees of winter may provide the help that we need. Butler Bass finds the themes of Epiphany particularly appropriate to the season in which it is celebrated in the Northern Hemisphere. She writes, "It is the deep winter season, a time of starkness, cold, ice, and snow. Madeleine L'Engle once wrote that winter reveals structure, that which is behind the riot of leaf and flower of spring. Stripped down to the icy branches," Butler Bass continues, "Epiphany manifests a January spirituality, helping us see what we cannot otherwise see." It strikes me that in many ways, we, individually and collectively, are living through our own season of wintering. The pandemic has laid bare branches of our own lives and our social systems, and for better or for worse, has revealed the structure underneath. I know many people who, prompted by that revelation, have made career changes or moved to different cities during the pandemic, or who gained new clarity about what really matters in their lives after recognizing that previously ordinary activities like taking walks around the neighborhood or baking with their families had taken on a holy, sacred quality. And as a society, there is new recognition that the low-wage jobs that were previously invisible to many of us are actually the essential backbone of our society. We've seen renewed efforts for unionization and calls for living wages. And these winter revelations are happening in churches too. As a result of the pandemic, the tree of congregational life has been stripped of many of its blossoms and leaves. Coffee hours and shared meals, the rich sound of choir and congregation joining together in song, and the laughter of children during a particularly funny story for all ages. And many of us have found it a balm to still show up to church week after week during these pandemic months, appreciating the consistency and community during uncertain times. But for some of us, it is hard to feel motivated to keep showing up when so much of what we love about congregational life seems to be missing. But one of the blessings of the winter season, as Madeleine L'Engle reminds us, is that when the trees are stripped bare, we get a better view of the trunks and branches. The structure is revealed. The theological term used to discuss the structure of a church community is ecclesiology. It comes from the Greek word ecclesia, meaning called together. In their book, A House for Hope, UU ministers and theologians John Burens and Rebecca Parker liken ecclesiology to the walls of a theological home. Parker writes that these walls symbolize the shelter of community, where within the embrace of a sacred gathering place, people come together to form connections with one another and with that which is holy and life-giving. Stripped back to its most basic structure, its barest branches, a church is this calling together. It is its people and its covenant, no more and certainly no less. And what an extraordinary thing it is that is revealed to us, friends. I sincerely mean that. Just stop for a moment and think about how amazing and beautiful and tender this thing that we're doing together is. We show up here on Sundays across religious and theological differences without a creed, without the fear-driven motivation of concern for our eternal souls, with no clear-cut formula for absolution or salvation handed down to us from on high. We still show up and we try to figure all of this out together. We bring our questions and our doubts, our pain and our joys, our hopes for salvation in the here and now, and we figure out how to hold all of that in a community of care and accountability. This is not an easy thing we Unitarian Universalists do. I am constantly astounded at the bravery and vulnerability it takes to reject the comfortable certainties of dogma and join in covenant with people you just might disagree with in search of deeper meaning and in service of greater justice. Lutheran minister Nadia Baltz-Weber once said of her own congregation, "We are religious but not spiritual," She explains, spiritual feels individual and escapist, but to be religious, despite all the negative associations with that word, is to be human in the midst of other humans who are equally as messed up and obnoxious and forgiven as ourselves. Making a commitment to a religious community involves a willingness to be human in the midst of other humans. And frankly, that is not always an easy sell. But we show up and we do it anyway, week after week. So even without any of the rest of it, the light-filled sanctuary and lovingly prepared meals and elaborate choral arrangements, that showing up alone is truly, truly something to be marveled at. Soon, Epiphany will give way to Lent, and then finally Easter. Winter will turn to spring, and the blossoms will return to the trees. And we pray there will be new opportunities for this congregation to gather together in person again, to launch new ministries and reinvigorate old ones. But I hope that you do not rush or dismiss the season of winter, this time of Epiphany. I hope you can use this time to take a closer look at the congregation's branches. The 8 principles that we hold in common with our UU siblings, the mission and vision of this church, the covenant that binds you together. I hope you can take the time to ask, what is it that membership in this congregation entails when stripped down to its barest form? Forget for a second committee appointments and growth goals, and think about church in its simplest, where 2 or 3 are gathered form. These people and the little Zoom boxes next to you on the screen, and the covenant that binds all of you together. What commitments do you have to each other and to this body as a whole? When someone asks you, as we Southerners have a tendency to do, where do you go to church? What meaning is attached to your answer? While these questions may seem straightforward or simple on the surface, they can be deceptively difficult to answer. In my experience, it can be easier and sometimes more fun to focus on the buds and blossoms. But these answers are your branches. It is from these answers that everything else blooms, from membership growth to robust social justice ministries and dynamic worship. And as someone who has arrived here during this winter period, where the branches are laid bare, I've had the opportunity to see how strong they are, to see with the fresh eyes of a newcomer the sacred work that might appear ordinary to you, the eagerness with which you welcome visitors, the willingness this fall to refill the chalice oil and pull out the chairs and turn the social hall into a sacred space for worship, and the care and commitment of your lay ministry team, just to name a few. This daily, bare bones work of the church is beautiful and sacred. It is extraordinary, holy work, and you all do it with such care and love and commitment. Diana Butler Bass writes that Epiphany is a cracking of the ice underfoot. The frozen world starts giving way to something else. The branches sparkle in the moonlight. A star leads to a barn. The beauty of the deep structure of things is revealed. And we begin to wonder, maybe water always has been wine. Maybe we are all prophets of liberation. Maybe every day's work holds abundance. My prayer for you is that this can be a time where, with the fresh eyes of winter, you can recognize the beauty and the deep structures that uphold this congregation. And in that recognition, discern anew how you want to commit yourself to the life of this church. What piece of this sacred work do you feel called to nurture? And what new buds and blossoms can you help usher forth from its branches? I, for one, cannot wait to witness the abundance of the spring I surely know is coming. May it be so, May we together make it so. Amen.
Well, it seems I neglected to introduce my fellow vocalist and cha-cha partner in life, my wife Patricia, and her pronouns are she and her. And we again invite you to rise in body and or spirit to sing our final hymn, We Would Be One.
We would be one, as now we join in singing our hymn of love, to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other, to show to all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow, a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which binds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to virtue's service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
Please join me in extinguishing our chalice with words from Elizabeth Sell Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
I leave you this morning with these words from Norman V. Mailer. Our eyes and minds turn now toward the ordinary, leaving the space made sacred by our presence. Take with you at least some seed of understanding, hope, and courage, and drop it into the confusion of the world. Nourish the seed that it might grow as a tree of life, giving shelter to the weary and hope to the despairing. Be yourself a branch of the tree of life. This service has ended, but may our service to each other, this congregation, and our wider world continue renewed. Go in peace, go in grace, go in love. Amen.